What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the post-mortem where we break down the game that's just gone on between Manchester United and Brentford. As far as I was aware, it was 1-0. My electric had gone. And literally no idea that we'd scored 2 late goals. I don't know what they look like. I don't know what happened. So I'm going to rely on the lads to kind of guide me through that. There's a lot more smiles right in front of me than there would have been if the game had ended when my electric had ended. But we're sat here with 3 points. Wasn't the prettiest of performances, but judging by the goal, I mean, I don't know. Just start with the goals, Chivy. Talk to me about the 2 goals that we scored, and then I'll try kind of, piece it together as we go along. Is Chivy there?
Am I frozen?
Face?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
You're
frozen.
What the fuck?
Shreyas, do you want to talk me through it, and then Chivy can sort that? Yeah.
Sure. So around the 89th minute mark till where you watched, it was looking like 1-0. Another 3 points lost. I was already calculating how low we will drop, like to the 15th or 16th position in the Premier League table. Suddenly, things just started revolving. Garnacho was fitting into the right spots. Hojlund was occupying a lot of spaces. Actually, Martial was doing a lot of work on that left-hand flank as well. And just suddenly, loose ball. McTominay was in the right area. He glided it in. We were able to score. And after that, there was another opportunity for us. I think it was 1-1 when Martial had a very, very clean shot on target, but was just not able to provide the finishing touch on it. So it stayed 1-1. And then just at the last minute mark, we got a free kick around that midway point. And I think it was Dallo who took that free kick. It went. Maguire placed the ball for McTominay. And McTominay actually scored a very good finish. And that was actually the last kick of the game which McTominay placed in. So we were able to win the game 2-1, and once again it was a win that we needed badly because couldn't have gone into another international break with the loss last time against us.
Well, whilst our super sub is trying to sort his audio/camera, and Sam, I imagine, is trying to adjust it. Yeah. I want to start with the actual game in itself because look, it wasn't the scoreline might say that we won the game, but in my eyes, the performance again was a little bit worrying in certain departments. Like Brentford just stuck to their game plan. It was rigid when defending, stayed compact, and then when they got certain set piece, I mean, I saw about 3, 4, 5, 6 times where they had a set piece to the edge of the box, loads of space, and just had opportunities. Like they just kept getting at us in multiple ways. So I was actually really, really worried. I thought this is going to be another defeat now. Would have been our 3rd successive home loss.
It would have been. Gala, we lost against Brighton. We were lost against them as well.
Yeah, so I actually don't think we deserved the win, to be honest with you, and I'm still very disappointed with the performance in itself. Talk to me about individuals, Shreyas. Who stood out for you? Who wasn't in your best of books?
Hojlund stood out a lot. He didn't get a goal, but the way that he was operating around the box, like he was playing his heart out in that field, didn't get any service at all practically. Like, we were placing the ball to him, and then we were just hoping that he can run past 4 or 5 defenders because Brentford was just parking the bus after scoring that goal. And there was nothing going on around Hojlund in that box. It was just all him, and still the way he was able to operate around the box, Hojlund was a big positive. I would say Amrabat looked decent in that midfield spot as well. I think took a lot of weight off, the shoulders of Maguire and Evans. I think even Maguire and Evans, for the most part of this game, both of them looked decent. Like, I wouldn't say that the way we played was because of Maguire and Evans. They were actually halfway decent in this game. Except that Bruno didn't look at it. Bruno wasn't in my best books in this game. Mount looked all right. Not that good, not that great. But yes, I think overall the team was just not at it. And one player who was definitely not in my best books was Onana. Like, the way that shot went in, you cannot... That is one of the weakest shots I've seen going in throughout the course of this season from Onana.
Yeah. Well... Ten Hag made more changes than this Discord's making currently at the minute, and I see Sam losing his
struggling
behind the
struggling.
Are we all good now? Sorted?
I think so.
Are we okay? Okay, right. Well, it is what it is. The technical issues happen. I think Sam's managed that very well given the circumstances. Yeah. But yeah, Sam, I think Ten Hag managed it relatively well. Kind of gives me the perfect segue in terms of making certain substitutions. the people that he brought off and the people he brought on, right decisions in this game? Because he's been criticised of that the past couple of games, hasn't he?
I think, to be honest, I don't want to be positive or be excited about that game because we have nothing to be positive about. Like,
I agree.
We got lucky. Like their defense sort of gave in at the last possible moment, and we got lucky and took a chance. That's what it came down to. I think Rashford was better than he has been, but he still wasn't good by any stretch of the imagination. Garnacho didn't really affect the game when he came on either, to be honest with you. I thought we were crying out for Eriksen. I thought Bruno deserved to be taken off. And it didn't happen. He should have been taken off. It was a bit weird taking Casemiro off. I don't understand that, but it is what it is. Bruno on the right just doesn't work either. Like, I'm done with that experiment. Like, can't carry on with that. Like, they just you can't do that.
Really don't.
So we looked a little better when Mount was there, and then I think he unfairly just got taken off. I think he should have stayed on, and Bruno should have gone when Anthony came on. I thought Anthony offered a bit more on that right side, some true width, which is where we started threatening their goals and stuff like that. So Ten Hag did try and change things, but I feel like the team it set up at the beginning wasn't right in the first place. I think we should have done something different. And I think you said in the group chat, it was just like, we're crying out for like width and wingers, and we have 4 of them on the bench. And just, you know what I mean? And we didn't start any of them. No Palestri, no Garnacho, no Anthony. And that game was crying out for width. We were trying to play narrowly one-touch tiki-taka through a compact, very low-block Brentford. And it just wasn't working. It wasn't working at all. We got lucky at the end. Like, let's not get this twisted, man. Brentford deserved that win. They were way better than us. And they weren't even good. Like, Brentford weren't even, like, they didn't offer anything. One shot on target they had.
One shot on target.
And they scored it. But we were worse somehow. We were worse. So that's how it goes. That's football, man. That's football.
I want to revisit the goals towards the end, because I felt like we kind of dived into that a lot and didn't really speak about the specifics of it. But Chivet, I want to talk about the first goal, their actual goal. Like the multiple errors involved in that. I mean, Casemiro giving it away in the first place, Lindelof, supposedly the Iceman, just panicking in the middle of the thing, and then the save from Onana equally as well. How disappointing was that first goal?
Like I was saying, like I understand, you know. Okay, first of all, it was disappointing for Casemiro to give the ball away like that, because we're trying to build something at the time, and he has a bad touch, and then he goes to a defender, Brentford player, and then they take it in, and then I think Lindelof kind of saves the situation, but he actually doesn't. He can't play more back. But at the end of the day, I lay the blame on the goalkeeper, because it happens. Like, you know, this is not the first time a midfielder has lost the ball in the midfield. It's not the first time. Like, De Gea normally would save us. This is why you have a good goalkeeper, so that they can bail you out when you have these kind of errors. And it was such a weak shot. Like, it was so unbelievable. Their first attempt at a goal, and they score. And for me, it was just Onana. Like, and this is what I was upset about the manager as well, because he's putting really bad performances so far, and he persists with this guy. Like, I don't know, like, don't the other. So what's the point of having a number 2 or number 3? Like, what's the point?
Especially in other cup competitions, isn't it? Like, when you've got an opportunity to rotate, it just never does it? Never
Why?
seems to.
I really don't. So I know this is about the goal, so I won't go off on a tandem. But I'll just. I think for me, like, I'm so upset now, and it's hard for me to remember everything that happened leading up to the goal. I just remember the main things of Cass losing the ball and the ball going in, and I was just so livid, and I had to sit watching this game up until like the 90, up until extra time. But
wasn't a great watch at all. We've got more and more people joining the chat, 36 people currently in. Get your opinions in. We will read your comments out very shortly, and leave a like on the video if you are glad that we've managed to fucking salvage something from that game. That's something, of course, being a win. Shreyas, what do we do with Andre Onana now? Because this isn't just one mistake. This is becoming a catalogue of mistakes now.
It's
and
a
the whole
series,
reason why we got rid of David De Gea was for that specific reason. So you brought him in now and he looks even worse at saving, really, doesn't he? Like doing his main job.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, it actually is costing us a lot, because if you are looking at those games, the whole idea about teams who are actually coming up, to play up against us is they score one, they allow us to do what we want to do in the first 20. Then they score the goal. Somehow it happens around the 25th minute mark, 26th minute mark, and then they just park the bus for the full 90 minutes, and we just aren't able to counter them back. And all of those goals that we've conceded, they're all preventable goals. Even the one we conceded today was a preventable goal. They are not those sort of goals where you can, go and say that the other team actually played really well. We got outplayed in that area.
Yeah.
It is actually happening because of the stupidity of our players, and the goalkeeper is actually letting down these players a lot. Lindelof got there, was able to get a touch, but just handed the ball over to Jensen, and it wasn't a powerful shot. Like, I've seen enough replays, it wasn't a powerful shot. Onana should have been doing better, and this has been happening on a lot of occasions. And when you concede, those sort of goals, we already know the mentality of this team, how easily it gets frustrated, how easily the heads drop, and then if you concede those sort of goals, it just crushes the entire morale of the team. And I think some tough calls need to be made. I thought maybe he can deal with the pressure of that shirt, of being a Manchester United keeper. Maybe it is getting the better of him. Maybe there is something else, but for now, I think Ten Hag really needs to revisit his options, especially in that goalkeeping department, because conceding one goal and just having one shot on target, it's not a good sign for a goalkeeper.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It is.
That's ridiculous, man.
Perfect word to describe it.
Can I just jump in on that as well? Like, there's every single goal we've conceded, maybe 2 goals, have all been mistakes from the defence or mistakes from the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
All of them. Like, they could all be stopped. All of them. If you had our first choice defence in there, and I'd argue a competent goalkeeper, none of those goals go in, because Palace offered absolutely nothing except for that one chance, and it goes in. Bayern Munich, I think there was 2 or 3 mistakes cost us goals.
Leroy Sané's goal was...
Yeah, Bayern Munich was not in good form at all.
We let them come into the game. Like, they weren't good at it. They were the better team, and then they came in, and then they just got some kind of confidence. And then
Spurs, we were the better team for the whole entire first half. Second half, we just go, fuck it, and just chuck it in. So every single game we've lost is on us. It's not because the other team were absolutely amazing and smashed us. It's because we have given the game away. And that's a worrying trend. That's a very worrying trend. You see what else worries me now
is that it's the harmony in the changing room, because if you're having a lot of underperforming players, and in this case the goalkeeper, and you've got other keepers there who put in a lot, let's just hypothetically speaking, they train very well like everyone else, but then this keeper keeps getting his chance time and time again. What is that going to do to the morale of other players? Because
same with Garnacho.
No one sat there cheering on you, saying, there's no, someone's playing your position, and then you're like, oh, I hope he does well. No, everybody wants to get a chance. Now, what's this going to do to everyone else who's on the bench? It's not like, the other players playing well. Like, now, someone like Dean Henderson now would be vindicated, right? Let's be honest. He will feel very vindicated. He'll be like, oh, it's a good thing I left, because, I still wouldn't have gone.
What has Garnacho got to do as well to start? Do you know what I mean? Like, Rashford's just dropping shite performance after shite performance. Like, Garnacho doesn't get an opportunity.
I wanna discuss this. This is actually the next topic I was going to bring up, because there's this narrative now being pushed with players asking for opportunities and certain favouritism creeping into the side. So is this worrying now that what you've seen today? For example, I thought people won't say it and they won't praise him because it's Harry Maguire, but I thought Maguire was really good today.
No, he did well.
He did well.
Played solid. You look at obviously Lindelof out of position, but I don't think Lindelof has been playing that well recently, and I think there's a few others like that in the team as well who've been a little bit shaky. So, like you're all rightly saying, who from this team now, from that performance you've just watched, you obviously saw Casemiro go off the pitch, you saw Rashford go off the pitch, big players for us. Onana's making mistakes. Like, is there a serious change needed in this starting 11 now, or at least start pushing players for competition?
Like, Bruno, he's the captain, and he's probably not going to get dropped, but he has to. Like, he has to.
Why?
Like,
Why? Because he dropped Maguire. So why can't he drop Bruno?
Because he just won't.
Yeah.
Like, you know what it is.
No, he won't. He should.
He should, but he won't.
No, what I'm saying is when he came in, this is the problem. This is another issue. This ties into what we're talking about. When this manager came in, everyone was like, oh, he can't drop his captain. He dropped his captain because he didn't think his captain was performing well.
But he's the one.
So why does it? Yes. What's the double standard?
He nominated Bruno as captain.
Yeah.
He picked him as his captain, so he's not going to drop him because that's his pick. Yeah. Same with Onana. Onana's his boy. He wanted him, spent the money, got him in. He's not going to drop him. Anthony, it's his boy, and he was playing shit. He didn't drop him. Yeah. It's the same thing. Yeah, exactly. It's just that's what it's going to be, and that's what's worrying because there's players like Rashford who need to be dropped. He's been taken off earlier and earlier and earlier. So I think the next step, if he doesn't perform, he's going to have to be dropped because Garnacho's done nothing wrong. He deserves an opportunity. He deserves a run of 2, 3, 4 games like Rashford has to get his way in, and he hasn't had that. Mount has been here and there, and he's coming back from injury. I think Mount or Eriksen deserve Bruno's spot right now. They do. Like, they deserve his spot, and it's worrying, man. And you've got Bayindir in there who I've not seen much of, so I can't comment if he's any good or not. But he was playing for Galatasaray, or was it Fenerbahce? Where did we get him from?
Fenerbahce, I think.
Fenerbahce. So he's got to be at some level. And Tom Heaton, when I saw him before, and he played decent. He was doing all right. So, we've got competent goalkeepers there, man.
Probably deserves an opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
Just before you guys dive in any more, there's loads of people in the chat, so please do leave a like on the video for us. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. This is live, obviously, straight after the game, so get your comments in. I'm going to read a couple of them out now, and then I'll go back to you, lads, very, very short. Just give us 2 seconds. Shah Sam is saying Shreyas, question mark. I don't know why.
I think it was the tech issues when I was trying to move shit around.
Okay. Lewis saying we got battered, well undeserved. We're finished. Manchester, predictable FC. I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's Tim99 saying got to enjoy that last minute joy. Shah Sam saying we scored last minute goal and I'm not feeling anything. That performance was awful. I like these comments. Very sensible. Absolutely bang on. This paper the cracks for me. That fucking performance was terrible. Ashley Dallow saying what a game by Harry Maguire, and Paul B is saying Lindelof has been solid so far. I disagree with that, but of course everyone's entitled to their opinions. Right, going back to that discussion, because Jim, you was kind of going back and forth then. I don't know if you wanted to carry on with your point.
No, I was saying that I agree with what Sam was saying in terms of like Bruno is his captain and Onana is his player and Anthony is his player as well. But Casemiro is also his player, right?
Yeah.
He's taking him off.
Is he though? Because he was second choice. He wanted Frankie de Jong and then didn't get him, and I was like, and then Casemiro became available. I don't know if he was like, I want Casemiro. I think Casemiro became available and he was offered and he took it.
But I think the point I'm trying to say now is that it shouldn't matter, right?
It shouldn't. No, you're right. You're correct.
Whether or not these are your players.
But it does.
It shouldn't matter. It's on you right now. Well, not you, Sam, but it's on him.
I'm picking the team.
Fucking should be doing.
I know.
Yeah. It's on the manager to uphold the standards that he's imposed in this team from last season. Now, and if he's talking about standards and the Onana has been terrible. Bruno, Rashford have been terrible. I'm happy to see Mount, put in a few decent performances. So I'll leave him out of this because I can actually see him trying.
Yeah.
The 37th minute. I remember I looked at the time when that happened. Rashford loses the ball at the halfway line and literally just walks. Yeah. He just walks literally.
Ten Hag doesn't say anything to him either, though, on the sideline. Like, he's not walking back, and I'm looking at Ten Hag on the sideline, and he's just watching him. He's not screaming any instructions.
There was that report, wasn't it, that came out, was it 2 days ago? Ten Hag is afraid to go in on players because they're so fragile right now because of their form and stuff like that. He's afraid to go in on players because he thinks it'll just into the ground. Which I understand to an extent, but at the same time, these players have got to get the fucking balls together and just be like, you're a player for Man United, mate. You've got the top level of football. You need to get your head together and be like, if you're playing shit, somebody should be able to call you out on it and go, you're playing terribly.
This is why the Ragnick thing, him not being a director of football, whatever position he was in, it still hurts me to today because Ralph Ragnick would take a fucking chainsaw into that dressing room right now. Literally.
Oh, yeah.
He would go in there with an axe and just hack everyone's head off. It's you can't do that. Like, he just walked. And so if I'm one of the other players watching him just walk after that, like there was another chance when Garnacho came on and the left back.
He chased the full, but he chased him all the way up.
Yeah. He's chasing him regardless, all the way. You see, this is what we want to see. Like, this is at least show us something, because we're fans here. The least you can do for us is to put in a little bit of performance, show some passion, show that you're doing something. But
yeah, it's
tandem, please. Sorry.
As always with Manchester United games, there's so many kind of topics you can spiral off into.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to go, but I do want to talk about Erik ten Hag's Reyes, because there has been quite a lot of criticism, not just with players that aren't being dropped and playing favouritism, certain tactics coming into it. Are you worried at all about Erik ten Hag this season? It seems the pressure's getting to him a little bit. I know obviously that was a big relief getting that win there, but obviously the results haven't been great. There's a lot going on at the club. Like, it must be taking its toll slightly, right?
I think right now he's actually over-relying on Bruno and Rashford. And I think he needs to stop that, because I think he really needs to identify that there are players other than Bruno and Rashford who've actually been performing better than them and having a much more impact in the limited time that they get on the pitch. When Ten Hag did come in, he said that I can only offer players a slot in the team if they're showing me something. They need to earn their slots on the pitch. And if I have to compare Rashford and Garnacho right now, Garnacho is probably earned that spot much more. If I have to compare it, it's not even a comparison when I have to do it with Marcus Rashford. Yes, Rashford has been performing better in comparison to earlier weeks, but he's still not there. And Garnacho, when he has come on, he did open up a lot more outlets. He did allow our midfielders to actually, occupy a lot more spaces into the box, which wasn't happening when Rashford was on. And the same case with Bruno. It is very frustrating right now, because you're shifting him onto the right-hand side where we know he hasn't worked out. He hasn't worked out since last season in that position.
It's still got him in it. We said that
exactly.
We actually said that, Shreyas, before the game in the kind of pre-match build-up. We were saying he's putting him there because he doesn't want to. He's just fitting him in there like square pegs in round holes.
Exactly.
He's the captain, but he shouldn't be on that right-hand side. Anthony there, like there's other players there.
Pellistri, you had Pellistri, you had Anthony, Mount can play there, Garnacho could play there, Rashford could play there. Yeah, Matt,
do a better job in that
you've
position.
got options.
And what I was saying during the build-up as well was, because Bruno is being played on the right-hand side, the midfielder Jensen will get more space to actually walk in. When I said that he's a very solid midfielder, probably cause some damage, ended up getting the goal for us. Bruno might work in that position for Portugal. For United, it has never worked out, barring 1 or 2 games. For the majority of those games, he hasn't worked out in that position. And I thought, because the reason for getting Mount was to allow Bruno to be actually dropped when he's not performing well. And right now, Mount has been performing much better. If I have to look into the team today and say which one of our attacking midfielders was playing better, Mount was playing much better.
Eriksen is as well. Eriksen's playing better.
Yeah, and that's why I really didn't understand why Casemiro had to be taken off. He's, anyway, it's the international break. Take Bruno off, put Eriksen on. Even I wouldn't have mind if you put Anthony on, in that 45th minute mark, because at least he's a natural winger. He knows what he has to do on that right-hand side and how to be effective. Bruno doesn't know that. And the most disheartening thing about all of this is Hojlund was actually playing really well today, the way he was occupying slots. There was just no support for him in that box. Like, he was taking on defenders, and
we had 3 centre-backs on him at once, innit? Like most of the time.
3 centre-backs at once, and there was a point in that game when Brentford actually had 8 players within the box, and Hojlund was battling 4 defenders at once, and he still slotted the ball alongside to Marcus Rashford, and still we couldn't do anything with it. So it just shows there's a big gap in that team. And I do get that Bruno is the captain of this team. But right now, I don't think that Bruno is able to command this team. Like, the way he was at least able to get a hold of this team and integrate players together when we were a goal down or a couple of goals down. We haven't seen that either from him this season. And some big call need to be made, whether it's a goalkeeping department and Bruno and Rashford specifically. Because if other players are performing better than you, they need to be getting those opportunities. Because ultimately, Ten Hag is to be held responsible for making these decisions, because he's the one picking the lineup. And when it comes to Bruno and Rashford, we've seen how many opportunities they get.
He's got a long time to sit on and think of it now, because we've got an international break. Thank God we're ending it on a win, and we don't have to sit on a fucking another loss to Brentford. But does that offer you any solace at all, Sam, the fact that we've won here? Because you think about the games when we get back. This was supposed to be an easy run for us. When you talk about Palace, Brentford and all the other games,
Galatasaray,
that we've played, and it just hasn't turned out like that.
No.
But then we start playing teams. I think we've got Newcastle in the Carabao, we've got City,
Sheffield United
at Old Trafford. Like we've got games, a couple of big games coming up over the kind of winter period. Just watching that game doesn't fill you with any confidence at all, does it, going into them big ones?
Like, if we go like that into City, we're getting this. Could be 8, 9, 10-0. City will toy with us like a shark playing with a fucking baby seal. Like it ain't gonna be pretty. We'll get absolutely destroyed by City if we play anything like that. We have to, if we have any chance of like even drawing against City, they have to have an off day, and we have to be 100%. Every single player has to be at the top level for us to have any chance of that, because it ain't gonna go well. And we can't keep relying on moments like that. Like, those moments are not always going to happen in games where you get 2 chances and you put them both away. It's not always going to happen, especially against the likes of City and people like teams at that level. They won't give you chances like that. You might be able to get away with it against Sheffield United when we play them next. It's possible, but with our away form, I wouldn't count on it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So
we have got no away or home form anymore.
Yeah, just shit. Just shit.
Just try and win.
So it's a win is good. I think it helps. Even though we played absolute terrible, I'm not saying we play well, but in the players' mentality, it's like we've won a game, so maybe that's going to help. Then the international break, well, okay, we've won. We're not sitting on this loss for the next 2 weeks. We'll have Gareth Southgate continue to pick stupid players. That's a separate show.
Maguire's probably got himself
Maguire,
back into the English.
arguably, he's earned his spot, hasn't he? Arguably.
Yeah, that'll be his excuse when he gets asked about it in the press conference. Southgate, but he played fantastic for United.
But you picked him before the game. Like James Ward-Prowse isn't in the squad, but Calvin Phillips is. Go figure. Anyway, don't let me get on that. So over the international break, they can go to their teams and be like, okay, I've won, come back, and maybe that starts something. I'm not saying it will happen, but I'm just saying it's a possibility. You need to hang on to any sort of positives you have. And at the minute at United, there isn't too many. Like Hojlund is probably the only positive we've got going for us at the minute. He's the only one.
Yeah, can I just add on the positive note there? Yeah, because I think another positive for this now is hopefully that the manager sees that he needs a change in the system, in the way we play. Like, he can't carry on with this Bruno, Mount, and Rashford front three, that back line, the line behind the striker. And he's made changes and taken some of these players off, and we've, almost immediately you can see that even though we weren't better, but we played a lot. You could see the ball moving a lot quicker. Before those players came on, I remember there was a time when Brentford just lined up 5 at the back, 4 in the middle.
Yeah,
we were just taking the ball side to side. There was no movement, and I was watching Garnacho when he came on, and he was constantly moving, just constantly. He's moving. His back is. So these kind of players bring the difference that you want to see, and hopefully he takes this away, and he views this as a significant moment. Is like, we can't keep going on like this. Like, he has to change something. And the second positive now is redemption for some of these players, like Maguire, like Scott McTominay. We're saying before, we're like, this is the West Ham connection that literally
in a West Ham style of goal, wasn't it? Like the lump up, knock down, and then ahead. Yeah. And
last night and this morning, it's crazy. Last night and this morning, I was watching David Beckham's documentary on Netflix. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't get like emotional, but it just took me back to then, like seeing the old team again.
The good times.
The way we're playing, the good times, the magical moments, and I was just like, man, I hope these players watch this, or young fans get to watch it now, because it gives you like a glimpse into what it was before, and the kind of belief that we had. And then I saw the episode when we win in Barcelona, when we win the Champions League, and we scored 2 goals in the last minute, and you guys all know the story. And I was sitting there this morning saying, man, it's been a while since that kind of thing happened. Like, and funny enough, McTominay comes up with the goods today. Like, it's literally magical. Like, and it's just a good thing. Like,
Steve Bruce, isn't it? Steve Bruce-esque. You remember Steve Bruce? He would come back post, head in, Like that's what it is.
Yeah,
people. Steve Bruce was one of the highest scoring defenders ever in the league. Like
19 goals in one season.
Which is for a centre back, which is mental, by the way. So
second to Ronald Koeman, I think.
Yeah,
in a single season.
It's just crazy. So that's very reminiscent of that. Scott McTominay, a player not been in the team, played maybe 5-6 minutes here and there, and he comes in and absolutely smashes 2 goals in and makes an impact on the team, which just shows you every player we have doesn't have to be a world beater, doesn't have to be this world-class player. You have utility players. Fergie had them all the time. Darren Fletcher, Ji-Sung Park, Ronnie Johnson, Blomqvist. These players who are not as well known as Beckham, as Giggs, as, do you know what I mean, all these different people. But they did a job and they're remembered for what they contribute to the team, for the success. That's what you got with McTominay. He isn't the best player. He isn't a starting midfielder even, but he came in and he did something, which is what every other player needs to look at and be like, not kick the toys out of the pram. Oh, he's playing over me. When you get your chance, fucking take it and do something.
Just breeding competition and actually playing people when they're in form. That's all you ask, really, when you're watching certain performances. Right, lads, last kind of thing I want to discuss. We've got obviously time now, international break, to sit on that. So obviously the coaches are going to be looking at specific things, the managers are going to be looking at certain things, individuals are going to go away and then come back. There's going to be a lot of things going on. But in your mind, who is our best starting 11 right now, judging from what you've seen in the first 2 months? Who definitely deserves a spot in that lineup, fit or not fit?
Hojlund. Right, he has to start. I'd say Varane, but he just can't stay fit, can he? Just can't.
That guy's injured. Obviously not his fault, but he's injured more than honestly.
Wan-Bissaka, I thought was playing well up until he got injured. I thought he was playing well.
Sandro needs to come back as well.
Sandro not injured in there. The other centre backs up for grabs. In all honesty, next to Sandro, the others, because Varane can't stay fit. Lindelof's look shaky. Shaw we've not seen at all. Region, I think, probably takes that starting left back spot in a minute, because we haven't seen Shaw, we haven't seen Malacia.
Anyone at least get a full back in, natural full back.
Just a full back.
Yeah.
I think Amrabat has come in and hit the ground. I think he's been solid, so I think he deserves a spot.
Do you think he was okay in the 6 today? You know, when he swap with Casemiro, was all you guys happy with his performance?
I think he was all right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he looked glamorous, but
a little bit
he
slow
still did a better job
to me.
Yeah,
a little bit on the slow side, which I think might get caught.
He's been thrown.
Times,
he's been thrown in the deep end. To be fair to him, hasn't he? Like, he's come to United. He's been thrown in first game. You're going at left back, and he's had no chance to acclimatise. And now is his first chance starting in midfield. So it's like,
he needs time.
You got to give him a bit of slack. Bruno don't deserve an opportunity for me. He doesn't. Like, he hasn't.
Well, let's stick with the midfield. Let's just stick with the midfield. Give me your 3, Sam, in the midfield.
Casemiro, Amrabat, Eriksen in the 10 for me.
Chive.
Are you talking about best performers, like the performances?
So, who you would play right now in the next game in
midfield? I'll play the same. I'll play the same midfield. I'll play Amrabat and Casemiro holding, and I'll play Eriksen in the 10.
Over Mount, you play Eriksen in the 10.
100%.
Yeah.
He offers no pressing at all. He's fit for
but that's
60
why
minutes
you've got Amrabat to do the pressing and stuff.
No, but you press from the front. That's the difference.
But I'd put Mount on the right. I won't play Anthony. I'd play Mount now.
The reason why I would do that is because we've seen Mason Mount like press and all that, but in terms of and he's really I'm cheering him on. Like, I'm really cheering him on. But when Eriksen comes on, there's the ability to be able to unlock those, like, and some of those passes, some of the chances that he creates. Look at the one time he pass he did to Rashford, that, you know, against, who was it? Galatasaray, was it?
Arsenal, I think.
He can unlock defenses. I think it was what you tried to say.
I like that. Yes, I like the idea that he can do that. And if we need to press, we can press with wingers and all that. Like, but I would rather have that. I'd rather have a thinking midfielder there. Because right now we just have a lot of instinctive players.
If you play him in the 10, as well. He doesn't have to worry about going backwards and doing that dog work. Then
he can focus on his job. He's so of releasing players. So that's what I would do personally.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, that's fair. Shreyas, I'm gonna move on to you, mate.
I would go with Mount. I think Casemiro and Amrabat are so short in there. Like, there's no debate about those two positions. But personally, I would go with Mount because I think overall, throughout the course of the 90 minutes, I would rather want the legs of Mount actually being on the pitch, because I think Eriksen, once again, a flawless player when he doesn't have to do the defensive work. He's got that creativity, especially against a low block. I think he's one of the better players to actually have on the field. But I think if you want a midfield that needs to control the game for the entire 90 minutes, you need energy, and I think for that sort of energy, you would want to have someone like a Mason Mount.
I think it's interesting the amount of variance we've got in a minute, because I think there's going to be a lot of kind of different debates ongoing with this. Equally with the front three, like for me at the minute, I'm playing Garnacho, Hojlund and Antony just at the moment. And I mean, even take Antony off and, I don't know, put Martial in or whatever. But I think Rashford needs dropping for a significant amount of games. I think Bruno needs dropping for a couple of games. Even if it's just to get that bite back into him where he's not playing absolutely awful, but he's just been average. I've said it after every single game.
You remember the Crystal Palace game in the Carabao Cup? How good we looked without him.
Yeah.
When they didn't play.
Obviously, it's against a team that's slightly changed, so obviously you can have more control.
Our play looked better. The way we played.
The way the team was set up, it did look better. So I think it's food for thought, definitely going into this national break. Look, we've won the fucking game at the end of the day. So as long as we've got the 3 points, I think every single United fan in that stadium sat at home around the world would have taken that at the end, the way the game was going. So luckily, I think that's the first time we scored 2 after the 90th minute. Funnily enough,
like the magic, the magic of the late wins and all that kind of stuff.
I saw a quote for the first time in Man United's history, after trailing past 90 minutes, we've scored 2 goals. It's the first time we've ever done it, like trailing past 90 minutes. So there you go.
Didn't we do that in the Champions League final?
I think it's in the league. Premier League related.
I think it's in the league.
Yeah,
and at Old Trafford, Old Trafford as well. So I think that they count home games.
At Old Trafford, I think that's a good point to leave it on, lads. I think a fair assessment, judging from what you lot have said, is we're not taking too much from it. We're happy we've got the win, but the performance in itself ain't acceptable, and that can't paper over the cracks going into some of the bigger games coming up. And I think a lot of people was in agreement with that in the chat. I'm just going to read out a couple more comments, and then we can head off.
Before you do,
great. Go on.
Before you do. Should we just nominate Scott McTominay as man of the match? Because I don't feel like we can give it to anybody else in the team.
Well, he was on he got 11 minutes, 2 shots, 2 goals, 2 passes completed, I think, something like that. So
just might as well make a statue of him next to like Dennis Law and honestly, like.
Yeah, give him build him a statue, McTominay. No, I'm joking.
Okay.
Sorry, a few more comments. Gray100 says he won't change. He's too stubborn. I think he's alluding to Erik ten Hag. Dan says, I know I'm harsh, but Bruno or Mount in the same team will never work until Mount successfully plays the number 8 role. But that's what I mean. Then you shoehorn in whoever it is, regardless of whoever you go for. Biscuit Wrist says Aaron Onana needs to be dropped ASAP. Putting in Carrier's performances. I feel Bruno is the victim of a new system. I think Bruno needs to be benched personally. Yeah. And then Aaron says sort of results today can kickstart a season. Again, I'm not feeling too optimistic about that. I'm really, really not. Because I know what I've just witnessed with my own 2 eyes.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
I know no one can chat to me about that because I've just watched that performance and like, nah.
I appreciate people are looking for positives because this season has been fucking abysmal so far. So I appreciate people just want something to cling on to be like, at least this was good. But don't get it twisted. That was a shit performance. Nothing has changed in this team so far. So try and keep it.
I've done enough watch-alongs and analysis to know that game was fucked. Like in a lot of elements, tactically.
Nick had to watch this whole thing and missed the goals as well.
I know, that's what I mean. It got to the 89th minute and it just went, dumph, shut off. And I was like, trying to get the stream back on, like, what's going on? I've seen the WhatsApp pinging going off. Like, we've scored.
I think Shreyas was, 20 seconds ahead of me because I saw a message pop up on my phone going, that one counts. And I was like, what the fuck's he talking about? And then literally the goal went in. I was like,
Marcel was offside in one of them.
Yeah.
I think I saw that one.
He got the touch in it.
So equally, I was checking SofaScore and I was like, McTominay, I was like, what the fuck's going on here? I mean, my head was just battered. But we got the win, so at least the weekend hasn't been ruined, and I think we can leave it on that. I think that's the perfect point to leave it at. So yeah, guys, if whoever's watching, do leave a like on the video for us. Subscribe to the channel. The pros and cons will be out tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon. Make sure you drop us a follow on socials. Real Reds Talk on Insta, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. We're absolutely everywhere. TikTok, yeah, completely forgot about that. And yeah, have a nice weekend to the lads on the channel and to everyone who's watching. We'll see you in the next one, guys. Take care. Peace.
Up the fucking Reds.